Now I know what you might be thinking. Wah! That unusual emphasis. My favorite YouTuber did this years ago. It's not even an original idea. Shut up. And let me teach you some very basic grade 6 biology. This is a rat. This is a squirrel. Rat, squirrel. And these are different animals, which means this challenge is fundamentally, philosophically, and legally distinct. And I will not be taking any further questions. Now on to the challenge. Our colonists will receive a 15-day grace period. This is where we build basic infrastructure, research shacks, and state-of-the-art civil defense systems. After those 15 days are up, we will be attacked by an exponential threat, which means the problem doesn't really scale, it compounds. And for those of us who aren't so mathematically inclined, I have made a simple graph. It shows daily meth use versus the likelihood of addiction. What's interesting isn't the ending, it's the beginning. Because at first, it just looks manageable. It didn't start crazy or over the top, but it just kept happening. That's when it got terrible. Now swap meth for rats. Simple. Now here's the thing. You don't really need to inspire people. Just to make the consequences so severe, they feel as though they only have one option. And once you do that, they'll pretty much do anything. Which is interesting. That's the system. At some point, work stops being the thing you do to live, and living becomes the thing you have to do to keep working. Our first line of defense wasn't exactly an original idea. A series of looping walls and traps, designed to funnel rats through a narrow corridor, one at a time. This is the very same thinking that turned half of Europe into a trench in World War I. You funnel them in, you exhaust them, and you trade space for time. Toward the entrance of our colony, we had constructed a series of primitive automatic turrets to weed out as many rats as possible without risking any colonist lives. We researched basic traps in order to fill empty space, which for the time being, it seemed as though our own colonists would be stepping on more often than the rats would be. The base was coming along nicely, and with primary defenses in place, it was time to turn to production in order to stockpile weapons of mass destruction in the name of fighting the rat legions. And just when I thought things were going incredibly well, the epitome of tragedies occurred to our colony. It turns out that raiding parties would be the perfect opportunity to test our defenses before the rats arrived. You may question the morality of using the raiders to test the defenses.
What?
Until you remember, we do this all the time. We just outsource it, somewhere very, very far away.
Let's say China.
To people you'll never meet. To test systems you rely on. Which makes the product feel safer. And as day 15 approached, we did our best to make our final preparations. I was quite frankly feeling pretty good about this challenge. We had stockpiled resources and weapons, and our colonists' moods were better than ever.
All right, kids, this better be good. I was in the forest wrestling with a bear claw when we got the call.
The first rat largely didn't cause us any issues, but I must admit I didn't like how long those automatic turrets were taking to deal with just one of them. It made me nervous. Nervous enough, in fact, to build a third and final line of defense. just in case shit hits the fan. I wouldn't say I was worried, I think more so precautious. And since we are at war with what I would call an existential threat to our colony, I can't say I blame myself. It's just like the great ruler Genghis Khan once said, "When in doubt, build more things designed to end the problem." I can't say I disagree, Mr. Genghis Khan.
Oh, wow! Wow!
Now, while I can't say that day 2 was much more eventful than day 1, I can tell you for certain there was more rats. Do you ever just get so angry that you feel like doing something completely unreasonable? No? Yeah, me neither. Anyway, Kitty had a bad day and decided that one of our cows didn't need to be alive anymore. Kitty was having a rough one. Look, we're gonna go ahead and skip to day 19, because do you really want to see 4 rats get murked by auto turrets? Okay, it wasn't really that much more exciting. But, there was a trend. And in order to deal with the next few days, we were gonna really have to step up our defenses. These auto turrets just weren't quite cutting it. The solution, I hear you asking? Well, an artillery den. Now, having researched more advanced technologies, we would be able to use range and cover in our war against the rodents. Also, at least once per playthrough, I managed to turn my base into an actual sauna.
I'm retarded?
32 rats. Potentially our first genuine challenge. "32 seemed to be just about all our front line was capable of holding. We had a few stragglers entering through, and with that I knew we were in a lot of trouble. We prepared what we could, but the wave of 64 rats was descending upon us before we even had time. We were forced to retreat, and it was becoming increasingly clear that our strategy needed to change immediately. Just barely surviving such an early raid, our colonists were severely, and to be honest, quite understandably distressed. Our priority quickly shifted to completing the artillery works in order to maintain the maximum distance between colonist and rat as possible. 128 rats. Now, I don't want to sound oh so calm and undersell how quickly things are getting out of hand. Our colonists were genuinely self-exiting, and the turrets just couldn't keep up. And if dealing with the rats wasn't enough by itself, our colonists hated each other's guts. War was breaking out from the inside. Hey, and it turns out that artillery is pretty effective against rodents. It was safe to say that my computer was starting to struggle at 500 plus rats. They were literally exploding out of the screen. And I think if it wasn't for concentrated artillery fire, our base would have already been in ruins a long time ago. We had solid amounts of firepower, but we were seriously starting to run low on ammo. Would we be able to survive 2,000 rats? the system did exactly what it was designed to do. So technically, I guess this counts as a success. The rats were gone, which was always the plan. But at some point, the threat stopped being external. There was nothing left to defend against anymore. But we just kept acting like there was. So who was the enemy? The rats? Or the system that taught us how to survive them?
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Serious crap. Gay. Frogs, friggin' frogs. It's not funny. I'm gonna say it real slow for you.
Like and subscribe!